Imagine you throw a cricket ball into the air and the ball goes up, stops up at a moment and comes down. If we plot it with height against time as a graph, the graph is not a straight line and we would end up getting something called parabola. The mathematics behind this curve is quadratic equation, and today we will learn what is quadratic equation and how it behaves. So let's see. Before understanding what is quadratic equation, let's see what is equation. Equation. So to define equation, we could tell it as something like a mathematical statement which contains an equal symbol. So it's basically mathematical statement which contains an equal symbol. So whatever mathematical statement you observe with the equal symbol, it is called equation. So the equation consists of two different sides. One is left hand side and right hand side. So the equation, in the sense the equal symbol would appropriately equate the both the sides. Whatever terms, either summation or product or subtraction or a division, whatever revolves around the LHS and the RHS would be the result of that operation. So this is how the equation behaves. So hence, we could see examples like x plus 3 is equal to 7, 2x is equal to 10, or x divided by 2 is equal to 15, something like that. So it just partition it a particular mathematical statement into left hand side and right hand side and try to equate them to a mathematical level in order to find the unknown quantities or in order to tell some logical truth which is really important. So in so whatever examples we tell, there are for example x plus 3 is equal to 7 and 2x is equal to 10. So in this, the power of the variable is what? 1. So the if the degree is 1, degree is something which is called highest power of the given equation. So if the degree is 1, it is called linear equation. You would if you plot the particular equation in a graph, you would end up getting a straight line. Straight. So hence it is called linear equation. So if the degree is 2, meaning the highest power of the variable which we have to find is 2, then the equation is called quadratic equation. Whenever you draw a graph with a quadratic symbol or with a degree of 2, you would end up getting a parabola. Parabola is something like, you imagine this as a Cartesian plane and you would end up getting some curvature shape. So this is called parabola. You would get a curve which would go until the roots get clear. Roots is something which are called solutions of this particular equation. So let's see what is quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is something where the degree is 2. So it is of the general form of the equation. general form of the equation would be ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is a general quadratic equation where a, b, c acts as constants and the unknown variable axis, x-axis unknown variable, which we have to find. So basically this equation generally have two different solution, two different roots. Roots and solutions are same. So I would refer hereafter it as roots. So let's take this equation as 1. Okay. Now let's divide. Now let's take a common term as a, and let's divide the whole equation by a. X square plus b by a x plus c by a is equal to 0. So now we should get something in the form of powers, power of 2, and we should eliminate some terms, unwanted terms, and we have to get the solution of x. What is the formula behind finding the value of x? So now let's do some transformations. Like I would like to use, I would like to do this as x plus b by 2a the whole square. We all know x plus b by 2a the whole square is x square plus b square divided by 4a square plus 2b by 2a, which would give me b by a. So x square plus b by a plus b square by 4a square. So we all get the x square, 2b by a x, yeah. So we get this particular term and I want this particular term, so I am doing this operation. So uh, that a would go to RHS and you would get 0 by a is just 0. So I am rewriting the equation x square plus b by a of x plus c by a is equal to 0. Now b by a and c by a. Now we got this, and now I would like to write this equation as x plus b by 2a the whole square, and we have excess term which is called b square minus 4a square, which we don't require as per this equation. So we just minusing that particular part, b square by minus 4a square plus, and I would like to include this also, c by a here is equal to 0. Now I would like to take a common denominator here. Okay, b square by 4a square, and I in order to get a common denominator 4a square, I would like to multiply 4a on denominator and numerator also. So 4ac divided by 4a square is equal to 0. Now x plus b by 2a the whole square is equal to, transporting all those to that side, b square plus b square minus 4ac divided by 4a square, right? Now x plus b by 2a, taking root on both sides, I would end up getting root over b square minus 4ac divided by root over 4a square, which is 2a. Now we should get only x. So I would here I would get plus or minus. Whenever there is a square root on LHS, while removing the square root, while taking the root on both sides, you would end up getting the values in terms of positive or negative, because negative square would end up getting a positive value and positive square will also end up getting a positive value. So we are putting that plus or minus. Less or minus. So x is equal to minus b by 2a plus or minus root over b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So x value is equal to minus b plus or minus root over b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. This is the solution of finding the value of x. So yes, x is equal to minus b plus or minus root over b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. And here b square minus 4ac is called determinant, or it is denoted in symbolic form as delta. Okay. If delta is greater than 0, delta is equal to 0, delta less than 0. If delta is greater than 0, you would get real roots. If delta equal to 0, yeah, the x value would be minus b by 2a alone. 2 times. You would get minus b by 2a 2 times. Which means the same root repeats again. And if the delta is less than 0, you would end up getting imaginary roots, which means complex roots, complex system. So this is how the quadratic equation behaves, and in that particular form, ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And I told you to divide the whole equation by right. Now I would like to tell you about one important property, sum of the roots and the product of the root, which is a very important, and I would like to gain your attention here, please. So x square plus b by a of x plus c by a is equal to 0. Now we can write this as minus of minus b by a x plus c by a is equal to 0. Okay. Now this minus b by a is called as sum of the roots, and this c by a is called as product of the roots, which is really important. So let us take alpha and beta to be the roots. Okay. Which means sum alpha plus beta is equal to minus b by a, and alpha beta is equal to c by a. This is really to be noted. You can use this in various situations. If the roots are given and you wanted to construct something called quadratic equation, then you can use this particular property as a takeaway to construct a quadratic equation. So it behaves in such a way, and this is a very important property. With this, you could able to either construct the quadratic equation or deduce the roots. In both way, you could able to use this. So yes, this is really important. And then roots, in the sense, what do you mean by roots? This is something, for example, if there is a quadratic equation, roots, okay, let me write it, roots. Roots is something, for example, if there is a quadratic equation and you have to satisfy some value x, such that if I substitute that particular value x, I would end up getting the my RHS result as 0. That is that particular solution is called the roots. So let's take ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And here, if I put x value, say for example, I'm taking x square minus 3x plus 2 as a equation. For example, if I put value x is equal to 1, I would get 1 square minus 3 of 1 plus 2, which is equal to 0. And if I put x value is equal to 2, and I would get 2 square minus 3 of 2 plus 2, which is also end up getting 0. So 1 and 2 here are roots. In such a way, if I put that particular value of x, I would get 0. Yes, this satisfies that. So roots and solutions of the quadratic equation is such a way that if I substitute this particular value, I would end up getting 0 and the equation is satisfied. So this is how roots behave. So this is the general introduction of quadratic equation, and in other episodes we would solve equation, and please support us. Please like, share and subscribe to VGK at Dominic Docomo channel. Thank you. We'll meet you again in another video.